Hey guys, hello there. It's Tatiana from 21 Kittens Art Studio. I realized that I still hadn't done a video showing you the supplies that I'm planning on using for this use up all my supplies or use up all my old supplies / low buy no buy challenge for this year. I think I mentioned that I would do a separate video about it, but I hadn't come around to it until today. What you are seeing in your screen right now is two of the supplies that I plan on using up. As I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to achieve that by the end of this year. So I'm gonna have to extend it until next year, and it's gonna go up until whenever I finish these. And these are not the only supplies that I want to use. So let's go with the most recent one that you've been seeing in my last two videos. So these are the Panda oil pastels from Royal Talents. I'm not sure if I got them last year, like around the end of last year, so around the end of 2024 or at the beginning of this year, because I really wanted to try them out. I'm not sure, maybe I got them in the summer last year. Okay, so basically what I want to do is I want to use up these supplies before buying new ones. Like, I don't want to be someone who keeps on buying new supplies without ever using the old ones up, because I have a lot of supplies like that, and not only is it wasteful, but it just occupies way too much space in my studio, and I don't want that, and also in my head. So the ones that are used up the most are the white, the ultramarine blue, and then this color that I really like, the flesh tint. That's a nice name. And this yellow, which is the deep yellow, and also the lemon yellow. And then these two that are also amazing colors. This one is the warm gray. Oh yeah, this one had a weird name. The chromium oxide green. But unless I only paint with these colors throughout the rest of the year, I doubt I will make a considerable dent on them. Plus, as I mentioned in my last video, I am going to need more white to blend these specific pastels, because they're kind of hard. They don't blend too easily. And what I'm gonna have to do is purchase a single white pastel, and I found that the higher end of Talents, so the Rembrandt line, sells them individually. So I think once I'm reaching like the middle of the stick, that's when I'm going to purchase it. So it's not going to be for a while now, but I just wanted to let you know. I just wanted to be very transparent with you guys. Okay. And then, of course, my watercolors. The box is by Miren, by the way. In this box, what I used to have was a mix of both Cotman and professional grade watercolors. So Cotman are by Winsor & Newton, and the professional grade by Winsor & Newton as well. I put in here all the colors that I was using, and it didn't matter if it was Cotman, if it was Winsor & Newton professional grade, or if it was Schminke or Sennelier, or even some handmade watercolors by small creators. And what I want to do is I want to finish up my Cotman line, because I do notice that the pigment on them is not as deep as in the professional grade ones. Plus, ever since getting the Roman Schmal that I am loving so much, and I want to get more of those, but I realized I have way too many Cotmans and Winsor & Newtons that I have to use up. I can't just be accumulating them like a crazy woman. So what I've done is I have curated this again. I have removed all the professional grade pans from here, and those that weren't Cotman. So all these pans that you see in here are the Cotman ones, except for This one, there is the Indigo by Van Gogh, which I purchased also back in 2019. I bought a small tube of it, and I still have it. I don't have a Cotman Indigo, so I want to finish that up. And then this one as well, that is also Indigo by a watercolor maker based in Canada, who is amazing. I don't think she makes them anymore. I follow her on Instagram, but it's been quite a few years that she stopped making watercolors. And I still have a lot of her stuff that I love. And I've put the Indigo one here because, as you can see, it's a full pan. It's very pigmented, but I need to use it up because my Indigo collection is starting to get a bit out of hand. So that is why I have these two in here that are not Cotmans, but otherwise I have all these Cotmans. I poured the half pans that I had from the cadmium yellow and the burnt umber into these full pans. I wanted to do the same with other colors, but I ran out of the empty full pans. So I'm also not going to get new pans because, as I said, I'm trying not to spend money frivolously in things that I don't necessarily need. And then I also have a couple duplicates here. This one here is alizarin crimson, and this one here is alizarin crimson as well. So I have two because when I was going to watercolor school a couple years ago, I had a separate smaller set with half pans in there, and I had the alizarin crimson in there as well. And then these ones here are also duplicates. This is the sap green. This one was from my small palette, and this one is the one that was living in here. And as you can see, the colors aren't too exciting here, so they're like the basic colors. But I really want to use them up, especially the reds that I don't use that much, as you can see. They are fairly full. Well, not full, but they aren't as empty as other ones. Like, for instance, the ultramarine. I think this one is from my small set because I already used up the previous one that I had here. And this is like the third cerulean I have gone through at least 2-3 years because I use it a lot. And the burnt umber and the yellow ochre, I always reach out to for these colors. This one here is the burnt sienna. And I think this one is also like the second one that I'm using. And this is the brown Van Dyke, from which I don't have anymore. And I absolutely love this color. It's slowly going down. Now you might be thinking, oh, but that's not many colors, you know. It's not too bad, you know. Your Cotman collections, it's not too bad, you know. You should be fine. No, because what you don't know is that I have. Let me make some space here. This large set that I bought in London. Ooh, was it maybe in 2013, I want to say? And it was for sale. So the original price was £60 and I got it for £20, which is amazing. Because I think the small Cotman set, the classic Cotman set is, I think it goes like for £20. I think, I'm not sure. But yeah, I have been So I have been using these up, as you can see. So I have a couple of Chinese white that I don't know when I'm going to use them. I need to start painting pastels or something. I have a lemon yellow. I have a cadmium yellow. Now this is also a cadmium yellow hue. This is the pale hue. This is just the yellow hue. These are yellow ochre. This one is raw sienna, burnt sienna. And I have the ivory black in here. I have an ultramarine, intense blue, so the phthalo blue. I have another sap green. The viridian hue, I have a couple of those. For the reds, we have the cadmium orange hue, cadmium red pale hue, cadmium red pale hue again, and two alizarin crimsons again. So I have two alizarin crimsons in my current palette box, and I still have two more. Then I have the raw umber, the burnt umber. So these are colors that I'm going to use. Oh, I have an Indian red here. I don't think I've tried this one before. Yeah, this might actually be a nice addition to my box. So I think I'm gonna put it aside. I could give them away. Like I could pass them along some friends. The problem is that none of my friends are into painting. I have musician friends. I have friends who are very much into computers. I do have a couple of friends who used to paint, but the key word here is used to. So I think they're gonna have to be sitting there. And I also don't have any places around here where I could donate them to. I honestly don't know where I could go to donate them. So they're gonna sit here in the meantime, and I'm gonna keep on using them. Like I can assure you, these will not be thrown away. I'm either going to, if I find somebody I can give them to, I will, and if not, I am just gonna have to use them up. I also want to mention that I do not use these colors in the paintings that I do for sale, like for selling purposes. For that I use my professional grade colors, which I do have them in tubes, and sometimes I will pour them in the pans when the pans are emptied out. These are used more for my practices and learning and just experimenting. Of course, I doubt that I will get to use any of these during the rest of the year. Just to give you an idea, just to put a sense of a timeline in here, if you're watching this in the future, way in the future. Today is the 2nd of October 2025, so that only leaves me 3 months to use up my colors, and I doubt I will get to open any of them, except for the Indian red, which I'm digging. Light red. This is also a different earthy tone. Yeah, I think I'm going to incorporate these two to my box. The light red and the Indian red, I think they're more earthy tones. So I'll be putting them in my box. So far we have the oil pastels and the watercolors that I want to make a dent on. And now let me show you some more stuff. I keep showing you stuff. Yeah, so these are my gouache paints. Of course, I have the white in a tub, and I have it in a tube as well. This one was bought in 2nd August 2025, so this is carmine. But then the rest, they were bought also around 2019, 2020, except maybe like a few different colors. When I started with gouache, I bought the basic set from Talents, and from there I've been just getting more colors that I know I want to use. And you can see I have used them. Well, I have used the blue, and I even have the same size tub of the blue because it's a color that I use. And I don't use my gouache that very often. Until recently, I found a way to use them in a way that makes sense for me, but I don't plan on using them up this year. I do want to use them. I want to use them, and I want to practice, and I want to become better at painting with gouache, because I have a sort of love-hate relationship with them. But the new way that I found of painting with them is actually quite satisfying. So I hope that will be the beginning of a nice relationship with my gouache. And then last but not least, I have these sets. And these are quite old. So these are the Intense block by Derwent, which I bought when I was living in London. And I got these maybe in 2010. And I have used them. And yeah, I've broken them so that it's easier for me to do mixes and stuff, but I find that they never run out. And they're basically watercolor sticks. They're all right. It's not something that I reach for too much. I still have to find a way to use them, I think. Then I have my Derwent pastel pencils, again bought in London around 2010. And I thought that the pencils would be a great idea, but not so much. I find that they are much harder than the soft pastels, and at some point I just stopped using them. And I always forget that I have them, so I should at some point use them. And then this is the oldest set of paints that I own. These are the Mungyo soft pastels. And I got these when I was in Denmark many years ago, back in the 90s, which is insane. And yet these are amazing. But these are gorgeous. And at some point I want to get back to using them. I have tried. I am not getting rid of them. I am not giving them away. I am going to keep them forever and ever and ever. Maybe I should challenge myself to use them up by the end of 2026. How about that? I think that would be doable. And again, I'm gonna have to get like an extra white soft pastel stick so that I can do the blending, to see also if I like painting with these again. Maybe I don't, because right now what they have left on my fingers is just driving me insane. It's too dry. One last thing, these two. This is the multicolored pencil that I used in my previous video. It's a lot of fun to draw with, and I got this one also in London. I got it from Paper Chase. So it was probably, 2013, 2014. And it's a nice pencil. But I always keep it forgotten somewhere in a drawer. So now I'm trying to use it more. See if I can come up with fun things to do with this one. And then this is my Muji brush pen. The one that has the tip a bit ruined. See, it doesn't do a fine line anymore. And I want to use this up because I have already bought a brand new one last year that is sealed. But yeah, I don't think it has much ink anymore. I mean, I own this since probably 2018, 2017. So I'm going to use as much as I can of this one. Anyway, that was the little video I had planned for you guys today. I know I didn't show any paintings in it or me painting, but I wanted to share with you the supplies that I was using at the moment. And I will do a check-in at the end of the year so that we can all see how much I have used my supplies, just like I did with the paper supplies that I showed you. Having said that, I am going to leave you now because my coffee is cold and it's lunchtime. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to see more of how I am using my supplies. And I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.